Welcome back to the channel. My name's Adam Smith, and today we dive into the finale for Spellrift Legends from Jagori Games, landing on GameFound in the very near future. If you want to check out the exact date and the campaign page, I've got it for you in the pinned comment and video description. If you're new to the channel, we'd love to see you in the Discord channel or the Facebook group, so be sure to check out those links in the pinned comment as well. And if you have not checked out my prototype unboxing, how to set up video, and especially part number 1 of gameplay for Spellrift Legends, I'll put the entirety of the series in the top right hand corner. You're going to want to get caught up at least with part 1 gameplay in order to understand where we're at right now. That's going to do it. Let's dive into round 7 gameplay. And before we do, one correction from round 6. At the very tail end of part number 1, we moved these monsters as part of an effect. But as you'll see in just a second on the event card, we're not able to move these monsters that were spawned for that particular quest by any means. As you can see on the card here, it says they cannot be moved by any effect. So these monsters are going to go back to their quest token and stay exactly where they're at. Now, there was no gameplay impact because at the time we were just counting them for 1 doom. But if they had stayed inside this Spellrift location, they would have counted for 2 doom going forward. So I'm glad I caught that. Now let's go ahead and uptick our heroes legend points by 2 and drop 3 cards. Now, I've currently got 5 cards in hand, so these 3 will push me up to 8. I'll have to discard something from my hand, but these are the 3 new ones that I just acquired. Let's go ahead and discard this card here. I've also bumped up my legend points by 2 to 5. Now at this point, I need 1 more Void Rift close, but the Void Rift is way south of the game board, so I think it might make sense to actually kind of head south, and while we head south, we can go straight through this spot here and deal with the monsters here, maybe even deal with the Despair token, seeing as at the tail end of part number 1, we now have 5 locations, 5 worlds that have a Despair token and 3 that don't. And again, as I mentioned at the tail end of part number 1, if all 8 of them have a Despair token, we automatically lose the game. We don't want that to happen. We are trying to hold that off as long as we can. So let's head south here towards those spiders. So we essentially use the 2 legend points we gained at the start of the round to get to this space, and now we can choose to either fight the monsters that are here, deal with the quest that's here, or deal with the Despair token. The good news is I can attack these spinners and not only take them out, but also complete the quest, as the quest is tied directly to these spiders being taken out. Now this monster has a little nasty change up here that happens after the first round. The monster's going to start attacking and resolving first before heroes do, and that includes ranged and melee. So usually the heroes get to go first, but the spiders are going to be quicker and get the initiative. So we really want to try and wipe them out before it gets to that second round, but if it does, hopefully there won't be as many. Let's go ahead and set up 3 spiders. Now the spiders only have 2 HP, so maybe a really powerful attack from me across all of them will do it. Let's go ahead with the intent roll for all 3 of them and see what they're up to and what they'll have. So we got 3 2s. Okay, so they're all doing the exact same thing, which is going to be a hit towards us, and then they're going to beef up their armor by 2. So each of them has an armor of 2 going in. So that's interesting. They only had 2 health, but now they've got essentially that buffer. So what I'm going to do, and this is actually making things a little bit tougher with their extra armor, I might have to actually bump things up beyond what I was thinking. So the intent roll is done. I've committed my cards, and we're now going into the range step. There is nobody that has ranged. I check for myself first. I don't have any ranged cards. The enemy's not a ranged enemy, so that's going to skip right past into the melee step. And so we're going to take a look at the hero cards first, and I have a round effect here to add a die to all your attacks for each enemy in combat. So that means I'm getting 3 dice going into this attack with 4 dice, which means I have 7 dice when I roll, hitting all enemies. And I've got 3 legend points stowed away, so we'll see how things go. Hopefully we don't see too many fumbles or critical fails. I don't want to see that. That would gum up everything, but let's see how it goes. That was an extremely successful roll. So we got 2 crits here worth 3 crits each, and then 1, 2, 3. So we have a total of 9 in there for successes, minus the 2 it has from defense for rolling its intent. So 7 is getting through. These things are definitely dead. Now you might be sitting there saying, wow, that was a really powerful attack. These enemies don't even have a chance. Well, it's because I'm using rare cards that I gained through level ups prior. So again, once they're used, they're in the deck and you might not see them for some time. And when I say deck, I mean discard pile, because it's going to sit in there until it gets replenished back in your deck. So it really could take a while before those rares come back around, unless you've got cards that you've deck builded for that allow you to fish through your deck and maybe go after the ones that are really powerful. Now, these spiders are providing us 3 XP, so that gets us to 4 because we had 1 on our dashboard, but that's not enough to level up. Now we also have some effects here in the Endless Journey section. It says when you win a combat, you can move one toward a quest and gain 1 legend point. When you complete a quest, you may move one toward a monster to heal 2. Both these technically triggering right now because not only am I attacking and took something down in combat, but then I'm completing a quest afterwards. However, both of these will not happen because there's no quest to move towards at this point in time because I'll be resolving the one that's in the space I'm already in. And also there's no more monsters on the board at this point, so I can't heal anything, even though healing would actually be nice. So we purge the Shadow Spinner Nest. It says, reward, having cleared the cavern, you rescue trapped adventurers. The guild rewards your courage. You gain an item, and all heroes are going to gain 1 XP, which is awesome because that's exactly enough to let me have a level up. And the item I just gained is a Source-infused medallion. Whenever you add an upgrade card, gain 1 legend point and heal 1. That is very nice. Now, I have a necklace on right now, and you can only be wearing one of these at a time, so I have to choose which one I want. I'm going to choose to go with this one here because I think it'll happen more often. Anytime we complete a quest, we have to draw a brand new one, and this quest is going to be in World 1, which actually is the same location that I'm currently sitting in, which is perfect. We're going to have to go ahead and find out where exactly it's going to be, though. So let's go ahead and take the round tokens for the quests here, and we're going to mix them up really good, and then we're going to go ahead and determine which spot this is going to be at. So let's go ahead and we'll pull this one here. It's going to be at location D. So that's actually going to be towards the back of the world that we're currently in. Now remember my personal objective for Hercules? I had something here where I had to complete 3 quests. Well, that's the second quest complete. So if we go for that third one, we can actually complete that personal objective in the future. Let's go ahead and get ourselves that 1 XP, which gives us 5, and we'll do our level up. Now I'm looking across the row, and these are cool, but this one on the left is massive. This is a huge armor boost in a ranged attack that would happen towards the beginning of the round, which would be extremely useful, especially in the future if we get up against that boss. Now, it's also worth mentioning there was another effect on Hercules' dashboard here. It says when you complete a quest, gain 1 XP for each quest you completed so far, including that one. Keep quest cards to track this. So, because we just completed a second quest, we are getting 2 XP thanks to this Laborers of Hercules. That was a solid turn for Hercules. So now we go into our second turn playing True Solo. We're going to bump ourselves up by 2 legend points and also drop some cards. We currently have 6 cards in hand, so we have to discard down 2 after drawing up. After drawing up 3 cards, I kept only one of them, this one right here, and the rest of these I already had in hand. I'll just show them to you so you can see what I have. Now, honestly, I think this is a very pivotal moment in the playthrough because depending on what I do here, I either have a shot to win or I could potentially throw things sideways, and it's really tough to know what's best. But up there with the quest, if I happen to go up there right now and complete it, then that is going to unlock at the start of the journey phase. I get to draw an additional card. That could be very beneficial when we start going up against the boss. However, it's delaying things a little bit. Also, if I keep leaving these despair tokens around and the boss card comes up in the boss phase and puts more despair out on the game board, things are going to really push to a limit that's not going to be good. So I got to keep my eye on that. But more importantly than all of that, I got to get this Void Rift closed way down here, and it's far away. Now I could burn a bunch of cards to try and make that happen and getting through the other worlds. And I could also use 5 legend points that should be able to get me all the way over there, hopefully, or very close. But again, it's tough to say. If I close this Void Rift and the boss comes out and I've got so much despair on the table and monsters are popping up through all of those different despair tokens, this could go south very quickly. Let's see how many spaces away this Void Rift token actually is. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And I've got 5 legend points right now. I think my plan is going to be to use a card from hand right now as an exploit. This allows me to get +2 movement, and it's a passive, which is awesome. So I'll have that every single time I go into a turn. Now, I only have one other exploit in play right now, and that's to bump up how many criticals I get on a critical success. Normally it's 2, it's jumped to 3. Again, I can have 2 exploits passively working for me at any time, and if I add a third one, then I have to discard one. So right now this will put me at my max, though, but it's very beneficial for what I'm trying to do here. So that allows me to keep a lot of cards in hand instead of burning a lot of the green cards I have in hand to try and traverse through here. So essentially it was 6 to get there. I used the +2 that I just used passively, and then I went ahead and spent 4 legend points to get myself right into where the Void Rift is. Let's see if we can close it with all the cards I got in hand. I'm hoping I've got right ones for the test. City of Forgotten Faces. You enter a city of twisted architecture, silent streets filled with drifting porcelain masks bearing lifelike expressions. From a temple, masks float towards you, their empty eyes gazing hungrily. One matches your face, whispering forgotten fears, seeking to replace your identity. You resist their influence, desperately searching how to end their existence. Now I need to use either wisdom or charisma in order to pass this, and on top of it, it's actually going to be more difficult than it states because we have a despair token in the same world where the rift token is, so because of that, instead of it being a 7, it will be an 8 plus, which on a d8 means you have to be literally perfect and also not be getting any fumbles that will reduce your successes overall. So a fun balance right now to try to get this perfect result. So the question is, which one do we want to go with, wisdom or charisma? Well, I'm taking a look at my skill cards right now. I have one I can use for 3 dice on the charisma side of the equation, and I could potentially bump it up by 2 with a wild. Now the question is that too many dice? 5 dice is a lot. That opens up the risk for certainly a fumble in there, but we need to get a critical. So we need to kind of put enough dice in there that we have a chance to actually make it happen. I do have the ability to do a reroll with 1 legend point. So I could deal with 1 that fumbles. So this is the fun part about all this. I'm going to go with it. We'll see how it goes. We're going to go with 3 and 2. So it'll be 5 dice. You're going to have to cross your fingers because I got a funny feeling this may not go the way I'm hoping it goes. Let's see how this test ends up. We nailed it. We got ourselves the 8 we wanted to see. We don't have to do any rerolls whatsoever. We didn't get any fumbles, so nothing reduced in terms of successes. That's perfect. So the pass is going to provide us with 4 plus 3 off the critical, which is going to be 7, and that's going to allow us with the 2 we have 9. Not enough for 2 upgrades, but definitely enough for 1, and we'll have 4 left over. We'll do that upgrade in a second. Let's read the rest of what it says here. Your will repels the mass, letting you destroy a giant priestly mass at the temple's center. Mass ignite, shrieking as they burn away, gain the blessed condition, and close the void rift. Now that, my friends, is a massive win on the condition side of the equation. Being blessed is going to increase us on our test. It says the first time you roll a 2 or 3 during a test, you get to re-roll it, and it says ends during a rest. If you gain a curse card, both effects are going to cancel themselves. With the Void Rift removed, we'll first do our level up, and then we're going to deal with what happens with the boss. The options we have here are Piercing Spear, Strength from Anger, and Colossus Smash. I think out of these 3, going into what likely will be a boss fight very soon, I'm going to go with the Piercing Spear because I think the ranged attack is going to be nice to have that up front, plus it's going to impact the defense of it. Now you'll also notice that when I was fighting the spiders would have also gotten a boost off of the boss's card if they had a chance to even attack me, which they didn't. You can see here, monsters in the tiles of despair tokens have a +1 when they make attacks, whether it's ranged or melee. So thankfully I was able to take them out in round number 1 because the second round would have had them going earlier, plus they would have got that nice little effect. But regardless of all that, it says down here, whenever a hero chooses to close the Void Rift, you add 1 to the awareness. And of course, once you have this pad up to 7, which we just did, that is going to have us flip this over. Essentially, the back of this card tells us that the Eye of Nothingness is going to spawn at the Spellrift location, which is in the center of the game board, and it's going to attack up to 3 different heroes when attacking, and it doesn't attack the hero twice within that. So basically, when playing true solo, it's just going to attack me 1 time, and that's probably not going to be bad enough, to be honest. The Evil Eye says roll a d8 at the start of each round and apply the effect based on the results. So this thing's going to be throwing an effect into gameplay and messing with us as we're going. The Eye of Nothingness emerges from the darkness. This, without a doubt, is my primary objective, but I'm also terrified about the despair tokens all around the game board. We now head into the boss phase for round number 7. No enemy groups remain as we wipe them all out, but the boss just appeared and is inside the Spellrift, so it's going to count for 2 doom, pushing the track up to 18. The boss card is called the Silent Eruptions, and it shows right at the very top for true solo, it's going to be a rift at World 2. Monsters are going to be spawning in, which is terrible news based on how many despair tokens we have. It says the mountains crack and erupt like volcanoes, overflowing with obscure lava, yet no sound can be heard. The silent eruption covers everything in dark ashes and molten obsidian, consuming all sound and light. The effect at the bottom says all heroes on red tiles lose 3 health. Well, right now we're on green, so that's good. No encounters can be made on red locations, mountains this round, including enemies and rifts. The Void Rift token is spawning inside of world number 2, and as I already flipped it over, it's inside the sea location. Now we need to do a monster spawn. We start in world number 1, and we look for a despair token, and there definitely is one. We'll continue around the game board, so there's going to be 5 monster spawns. You might not get actual enemies on the game board. You might get an event like this, Void Mustering. It says all monster groups that have less figures than the spawn amount recover to their original number, replacing defeated figures. So that would be really bad. Say you had a group of 3 and there was still 1 left sitting on the game board. They would recoup back up to 3. If there are no monsters on the board, you discard this card and draw a new one. So basically this doesn't count. Next up is called the March of Darkness. All monsters on the map are going to move 1 in the direction of the Spellrift. Monsters that reach the Spellrift increase the doom, but we don't have any monsters that can move in, so we discard and draw another one. And now you can start to see all these different types of event cards coming out that would have been really painful if lots of monsters existed, and there will be a bunch in the future because, as you can see, these events are being tossed as we don't have any monsters that can use them. And we found ourselves a monster card. This is spawning in world number 1. Now let's draw up for World 2's Despair token, which is March of Darkness, and now there is monsters on the map, and they can move 1 in the direction of the Spellrift, and the monsters that just spawned will be able to get inside of it, so that's going to increase the doom by 1. So the monsters that are right here are definitely coming right inside. And just a bit off screen to the right, we've bumped up the doom track from 18 to 19 now. We're just 1 away from that elite monster pull. For the third world, which is right here, it's going to have a corrupted angel spawn. The angel's in place. It's worth mentioning the prototype didn't have a base for this particular miniature, but that's okay. We'll just lay it down like this. It's a very cool looking one, and it's in location C. Let's pull the next monster card. This will be for this area right here. We got ourselves a void monster showing up in the same world that our character is currently in. So as you can clearly see, things are escalating quite quickly. The final enemy card is coming for this world up here, number 8, and it says all monster groups that have less figures than the spawn amount recover. That's not going to be an issue here because everybody is brand new and fresh. If there are no monsters on the board, they discard this and draw a new one. In this case, we actually get a pass on this one. The best news was not seeing a Despair token on that boss card, because if it happened to be in any of the worlds with one already, then you're going to see 2 Despair tokens come out, and that's going to really crunch things down to a point of a loss. That's going to do it for the boss phase, but there's a persistent effect that came into play in round 6 at the very tail end of part number 1, and it's this right here, which actually, when we closed the Void Rift during the hero's turn, we should have placed the Void Rift token on this. It wouldn't do anything because we need 3 of them to get rid of it, so this is still going to trigger right now at the end of the round. It says increase the doom by 1 per Void Rift on the map. There is currently 1, so that's going to uptick us into 20 territory, which means from now on, any monsters that need to be spawned are coming from this elite monster deck, unless we can reduce the doom down. Into round number 8 we go. Let's bump up our legend points by 2. We're also going to get 3 cards off the deck here. We have 5 currently just off screen below. I'll show you all the cards that I have before I go ahead and discard one. We'll draw 3 up right now just so you can see what they are. We got ourselves Disorientating Blow. We got ourselves Sky Javelin. I love that card. And next one is the Pillar Breaker Blow. Now I'm thinking I'm going to run right towards the boss and just let the boss have it with a ton of cards, but I want to make sure the cards that I'm using are going to get the best bang for buck. And you can see the vulnerability for this particular enemy is going to be Agility Green. So that is exactly what I'm tailoring for here. And I've got 4 cards in hand that are green right now, so we are definitely holding on to those, and I'll toss one of the other ones. So here's what I'm currently holding in hand, just so you have an idea before I go ahead and discard one of them. And I think I'll let this starter card go, Pillar Breaker Blow. That's something I mentioned, but I didn't do yet. At the start of a round, you're going to roll a d8 to find out what effects the enemy's going to be throwing at you for the duration of the round. So let's find out what that is before we actually take any major actions here. It's a 4. The effect for 4 says we can't use any legend points for rerolls during this round, so that's really unfortunate. So essentially I could probably use these points just for movement alone. Now here's the thing, as a true solo player, I've got 2 back-to-back turns. I could choose to go straight for the monster right away, the boss, and try to take it down, or what I could do is sit still for 1 turn and just rest. And being able to rest would do a few things. First off, my HP would recover from 16 back to 20. I would lose any conditions, positive or negative, but the bless condition is not really going to be effective for me going up against the boss. And I also get to draw up a card, which could be really good and allow me to swap out for one of the ones I don't like as much. So let's go ahead and rest for the expiration phase for my character, and that's going to be it. I drew up this card right here, Enduring Wave. I'm actually not sure I'm going to keep it. I don't know if I like it as much. It just says basically get to attack all enemies. It gives me some extra armor, but I don't think it's as good as the cards I actually have in hand right now, so I'll let that one go. So I go into my second turn. I've already bumped myself up by 2 legend points. We're going to go ahead and drop 3 cards and see if I want to switch anything out. And here are the 3 cards from the deck. We got Lion Strangler, Bone Splitter Whirl, and this one's really good. Once isn't enough. It allows me to execute twice the next attack card in this round. That could be really good. This is a tough one, but I'm going to choose to let this one go. It's really good for the defensive side of the equation based on the attacks that I'll be doing, but I think I've got some stronger cards now. So here's a hand of cards that I'm left with, so you can see exactly what I got before we head to the boss and see whether we can take it down. So I'll use 3 legend points and my +2 movement, allowing me to get all the way to the boss. It is now time to go up against the boss, the Eye of Nothingness. We're going to roll for intent to find out what the boss will be doing, and it's going to be focusing on a ranged attack, which means it's going to be going closer to the beginning of things, which is a bit tougher for us. We'll be able to go ranged before them, but they'll come right after us. So let's go ahead with a roll here. A 4, that's going to be a devastating 9 damage attack. Now, before I show you the cards committed, let's take a look here. What we need to get for a successful hit needs to be a 6 or higher. And you can see the 4 is a 9 damage hit coming back to us when it does its ranged attack. So here are the 5 cards I've committed. I've held on to 2 because I think as a backup, keeping these 2 will be awesome. It allows me to execute twice the next attack card in the round. And if you played no other cards that roll dice, this can be massive at 8. So I'm going to hold on to that for a second round in the future, likely. If we need it, hopefully, we probably won't, but we probably will. Sky Javelin is going to trigger first. This is my ranged row and my melee row, and we get to go first. So range is going to happen. This is not going to be a card that is going to fall into the vulnerable bucket for the boss. So we're getting 2 dice, 2 d8. We have no ability to reroll, not off our cards, and we don't have anything off of our, we're not allowed to use our legend points thanks to the effect of the boss. So let's see what we do with 2. We're looking for 6 or higher, and there's no defense on this boss right now, and that's the only plus going into this. So we got ourselves a 4 and a 4. That's going to be 2 misses. Well, the Sky Javelin went soaring over top of the boss and did absolutely nothing. We now move to the Piercing Spear. So 2 dice for this, 1 additional for this round effect here, increasing any other attacks by 1. This is cool because this target is going to, this combat effect is going to affect the target and minus its ability. So basically it makes it easier to hit. So now it's going to be 5 and above is going to be a hit. That's great news. And this is vulnerable damage because this actually ties into the green damage. So we get double damage on this. Here's hoping we get a solid roll. It's actually not too bad. We got 3 crits here. This is a -1 crit. We can't do anything about it right now. So that's -1 from the 3. That's going to be 2. And then this is a single. So that's going to be 3 right there. And we get to double it thanks to being vulnerable. So 6 damage going through on 15 is going to drop this boss down to 9 health. The final card in my row is just going to be this one here. And it's going to give me a 5 armor boost. Now the boss is coming at me for 9 damage. And I've got 5 armor. So 4 coming at me. However, I'm also wearing some armor that gives me a +1, so I've actually got 6, which means only 3 of its 9 are going to get through, and it also says here, once per round, an enemy loses health equal to half what you lost to that enemy round down. So if it hits me for 3, half that 1.5 round down 1, we actually hit back with this Axe of the Merciful for 1, dropping it to 8 health. I am very happy I picked this card up as a level up because this really helped with that 9 damage hit. That would have been pretty substantial. 1 damage coming off the boss down to 8. So we now head to melee attacks. We got a disorientating blow. This is going to be 2 dice, but I get an additional 1 thanks to this still carrying through the round. Also, the target has -3 against your next card. That's going to matter for this one here, not for what I'm doing here. So 3, and this is double the damage because it is green. So here's hoping I get a bunch through on this. Let's see, lots of successes. We got ourselves a 4, a 3, and a 7. Now, combat effects are going to stay in for the duration of combat, so that means a -1 off of the 6 is 5. 5 or higher is going to be hit, so that still just ends up being the 7 only. So that'll be 2 damage right there, dropping it down to 6. And then this is going to happen, Pain Strike, and this one is going to be able to take advantage of a -3 here, which means to hit values are now going to go down even further. So we got the -3, and then we also have this 4, so this is dropping to 2 or higher being hits for all of this. Now I get 5 dice going in because I have 4 from this and the extra 1 from over here, so that's 5. I can also pay health to gain up to 6 more dice if I want to. And my apologies, it's up to 6, so I got 6 right now by adding 1 in. So I take 1 hit of health, that drops me from 18 down to 17. Now this attack here is not going to be hitting for vulnerable like these other ones were able to do, as it will not tie into the green type of damage. So we're really looking for criticals here to try and get us over the hump. But again, we could end up fumbling and things could throw sideways at us on that front. Let's see how things go here. At the same time as saying that, we also have this ability helping us out for -3 plus this, which means anything 2 or higher is going to be a hit. This is going to be an incredible amount of damage. This is 3. This is 3, so that's 6. This is 7, 8, 9, and 10. So for 10 damage with 6 health left, this boss has been killed. So Hercules successfully strikes down the Eye of Nothingness. And it appears that that was the right call to go straight for the boss, because things really escalated with how much despair was on the game board and the number of monsters that showed up. Things likely would not have gone very well for me in subsequent rounds. We had our opportunity. I kept the right cards that I needed to dole out enough damage, especially on the green side. So again, I could see the vulnerability of the monster once it flipped to the back side. And once I knew it was green, I started holding on to those cards specifically to get double damage on them. So you can see as you level up your character throughout the gameplay and you're choosing specific cards, you can really start to tie together some pretty cool combinations of cards that can dole out some pretty powerful damage. But again, it's going to have to be tailored to the boss you're fighting. The boss isn't going to be the same every single time. The effects aren't going to end up the same every single time. The game state and the board state is going to change vastly every single time you play the game. And with that victory, that's going to wrap up my GameFound preview series for Spellrift Legends from Jagori Games. If you want to find the campaign page link, I've got it for you in the pinned comment and video description. I really hope the entirety of the GameFound preview series was informative for you. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know in the comments if you enjoyed it and any questions you might have. And as always, keep on rolling solo.